sets just to show you kind of the way right now we're approaching. Right now you're trying to trap the ball between you and the net, and there's only one spot where you feel like you can go up and hit a ball high or right? And if the ball's not in that spot, it's kind of yeah, you're hitting it kind of in the head or out of bounds and all that kind of stuff. And most of it is simply because of the way that you're trying to see the ball. So right now you're trying to see the ball between you and the net. And so the fronting everything. So that means the only good set we have is a straight line set right here. The problem with that is like as soon as you go forward and you're exposing your shoulder the whole time and you're fronting between you and the net, blockers just have to get in front of your arm. And then you're going to try to move your arm around them, but everything away from here is going to be what? Down, so you're going to get blocked a lot for sure, okay? So what we want to do is we have to change the mentality of how you're trying to get to the ball, okay? So what we want is an even approach. So when you're seeing the ball, like I said, right now you're trying to see it between you and the net. We actually want to see the ball between you and the sideline, 10-foot line over there. Why do you think? Yeah, because remember the idea of hitting is rotation mix, right? Because you're right-handed, you want to establish a right angle because you can always turn. Right now as a stand, because you're taking the ball here, you want to push down angle so it doesn't give you very much left, okay? So the first thing we want you to do is get you kind of leave some cards to give you like a path approach. Okay? And what this is going to do is force you to a different position of the ball, and then we're going to help you with your jumping technique, hold your hips just a little differently, so that way you have a little bit more range, okay? So here you go. So essentially what we're doing is our first two steps. We're about the fourth hash or so, right on about the right line here. And so our first two steps are going to be to the corner. Our chin is always on the spot on the ball that lines me up to where the 10-foot line and the sideline meet. And then as I'm walking, my next two steps are in here until I get this angle. And if I have this angle, what do you notice? I can rotate this way, and then I can rotate this way without dropping the level of reach. Does that make sense? And so that's going to help me a whole lot. So once we get here, that's our one line. Okay? And then what do you notice with these carts? What is not allowed? Jumping towards the deck when we run in these carts, okay? So it's going to feel a little strange at first, but we'll get to it, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to walk this up. You're tracking the ball right here, not here, okay? Looking at it here, okay? Okay? One, two, now inside, and then the natural swing is going to take it right there. Right there, okay? So we're just going to get into just changing your eyes for a second. Ready? So one, two, high, go. Okay, so now, when we're looking at it, we're actually, if we want to hit high, which part of the ball do we make contact on? Bottom up, right? So we're going to hit the ball and spin, but we want to do it from this position, not from this position. From this position, we're ball high. Straight down to a block, so we'll get you in trouble. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to work with the space that allows me to go get the ball high and spin. Because the reason the ball drops is because of the amount of rotation we put on it, right? Ready? One, two, high, up. Let's get the line down. We'll give you some more feedback after we go down. One, two, high, go. And see the ball here. Shake in place. Go. Feel? Yeah, so where did you try to see the ball go? Yeah, between you and that. So your eyes shifted from here to here. And so remember, everything that you're doing, the reason you go corner to corner on the first steps is to get you closer to this side of the ball. And then we want to go everything all in here. It doesn't take away your line because you can always swing from this position. You can always turn left into the front of the ball and hit line. But again, in order to have all your space, your wedge, you have to go crazy. Okay? And go. Right? So notice your chin, your eyes are shifting. So where do you want to see it right now? Here. Your chin is on the spot on the ball here, bottom up. There, okay? There, ready? 1, 2, high, shift. Okay? 1, 2, shift high, go. Drive it. Okay, now, so your right foot as you're going through. So these first 2 steps are going to be pretty standard, right? They're taking you forward. Once we get on our second or third step, something has to happen. We call it a penultimate step, meaning we put our weight where? We put our weight on the back of our heel, on the foot, and our foot actually goes this side. So that way when we step through, okay, what's going to happen? We're going to get our left toe to this side of the ball, and we're going to push off our hips. Push off our toes, we get our left hip into the side of the ball. So when this ball's traveling over, what is that force? That force is a rotation into space, and I have to control that rotation. Does that make sense? So as we're going now, we want to flex our toes, okay? It's our heel on the outside of this foot goes like this is in system volume right now. Out of system, our line changes. In system, our line is here. So our foot gets on this side of the ball, we step through to get our hip here. Once our hip is here, we're jumping up and into the ball. We now have all this rotation. Does that make sense? Okay? So that's what we're trying to look for. So you're going to have to get on your third step, weight back on your heels. Why do we want the weight back on our heels? On 3. So think about it from a very logical standpoint. When your weight is back, number 1, where does that put your eyes? Up in your high point. And if we're on our heel, that allows us to do what? Go toes at the same time. So when we go toes at the same time, we're going to jump because we get 2 toes pushing together. As it stands right now, what's happening, you're going 1 foot down and then you're going to go to the other foot, your foot is long. And so by the time you try to jump, where's your right heel? It's already off the ground, so are you getting any push from your right foot? So if you're not getting any push from your right foot, how do you jump high? You're not going to maximize. Does that make sense? Okay. Go. Now this is going to be positioning right foot. So even though you're coming into this space, your right foot, your toe flexes on the outside of this ball, and then and your left foot doesn't step around, it steps where? It steps through the ball. So it's like that. So if you were to take this approach and you're going to go, your left foot is going to kick through that ball. Your right foot's going to position on the side, and then your left foot will kick that ball. Okay? Go ahead. So you can look at it, you can look at the ball. But look at your toes up. So what's the problem with toes? Yeah, see how they're not in the same line? So what actually do we want our toes to look like? We actually want them to look, we go here. Heel to toe. So here, so that way we have push. And when we push, what happens? We go up and in with our hip. So your hip actually goes which direction? Comes up towards me actually. Yeah, so off your tip, you push your toes up and in. Because when you go up and in, then what happens? Now you have rotation to where you want to go. Does that make sense? So let's try a few. Because right now your left foot is stepping across, and so you're stopping yourself. And so what happens here? You're locking your what? You're locking your hips. And because you're locking your hips, 100% of your swing goes on your shoulder. So if I'm a good blocker, all I'm going to do is put my hand on your, and then reach where you reach. Because you're going to have to, you can't go high. You have to reach to the ball because your hips are locked. Whereas if your hips are unlocked, all you have to do is get your hips to the ball, and it's going to carry your arm into a high point that you always want. Does that make sense? Okay, so let's work on that foot and your toes. Drive your toe and step. Nope, that's way too wide. So remember, if you're walking normal, how's your feet work? Just like that. So when you're sprinting, how do your feet work? Same thing. So when you're jumping high, how should your feet work? Same thing. That's it. Does that make sense? Well, right now you're trying to put a block on it, but where's that going to put pressure? It actually puts a lot of pressure on the outside of your left knee. Does that make sense? Okay? Go through. Yeah. That's why your weight needs to be where though on your third step. Back. So that way when you come here, when you jump, what's the angle? Up. So this way. Upward diagonally. Okay? Here we go. Let's just feel your weight going back. You can slow it down if you need to. Weight back. Up. So this is what we call a stall step. We go heel, notice with your left foot, what do you like to do with your left foot? You like to turn it, which is going to, again, put pressure where? Yep, just let your toes go in the same direction. Why? So think about this, okay? How does your toe work? How does your ankle and your toe work? Which direction? This way? So where are you going to get more power? With your toes. Does your ankle can bend this way, but you get a lot of push, a lot of control, not from a sideways motion. You actually don't get a lot, right? So in order for you to get maximum pressure, where do you want your toes to push where? Up, right? You want them working together for the same purpose. That's what collaboration is, right? Is when two things work together for the same purpose. Okay, what's competing? Two things working against each other, so somebody wins, okay? So either you can get your body to compete, which right now you're competing, so it means you're creating this momentum and you're trying to stop it with that momentum, right? And so what's going to happen over time? One of these is going to win, and more likely what's going to win. Is the momentum going to overtake the break? For sure. It's going to wear your break out. And so your left knee's going to hurt like crazy, okay? Or what can we do? Make them work together. Yeah, just get them in the same direction for the same purpose, and you get way more out of it, okay? Yep. Pop it. So get to your heel, and then roll. Roll, pop. You want to feel the roll, and then pop. Both toes at the same time, okay? So heel, toes. Okay, that is not good. So what does that mean about your fourth step then? It's got to go way faster. So what is the formula for power? Strength times speed. So what does this mean then? You're already going to be as strong as you are. Does that make sense? Like in order to get more strength, what do you have to do? Break down muscle fibers, right? And then let them recover and you come back stronger. So right now as it stands, you're not going to get any stronger in this moment. You have as much strength as you have. What can you adjust though? Speed, for sure, okay? And so what we want to do is your muscles can only go as fast as they are strong enough to support the speed. So what you want to do is we're forcing a long step to our heel so that we have this much space to go toes at the same time. So that's what we're actually working with. Toes, okay? So step up a little bit. We're going to go a two-step approach just so you can feel this. This is like a game changer. So they call this third step to your heel. Opening it up like this, penultimate step, okay? Very important for great jumpers. They all do penultimate, then they follow through. And then they use their toes to manipulate what? Their hips on the way up. Does that make sense? Okay. There you go. So left foot forward, back, toes. Okay? What do you feel? Fast or not fast? So like you're trying to block that left step. So your toes go. So you go here. Toes. Okay? Toes, yeah, just feel it. Just go to the level you need to feel it. Toes. Faster. Lean back a little bit. Toes. Okay, and why lean back? Because where's your ankle? Yeah. So if you watch great jumpers who are trying to go up high, what's a commonality? None of them put their chest down on the third step because, right, when my chest is down, that means I have to step out and then I have to try to pop it back up. What do they tend to do on the third step? Keep it pretty upright here, so that way when they jump, they have kind of this backward feel, so they can have an upward diagonal, right? Okay, good. So you feel how that kind of went around? Yeah, so if you watched me walk and you saw me do this, what would you think? What's your natural instinct if you saw me walking like this? That I have a what? An injury or a handicap? Yeah. So if you see me walking normal like this, you wouldn't think anything, okay? So when people are trying to block it, what does it look like? Like a handicap, yeah. So what do we want to see instead? Just a drive, yeah. Just get through it. Remember speed. So how are you going to be faster on a pivot or are you going to be faster on a drive? On a drive toe, yeah. So we just got to get, so we set up our right toe, even though our hips are going to the ball this way, we set up our toe to the ball. They don't have to go the same direction as our hips. So when we drive through, then we can push our left hip into space. Okay? Here we go. Drive. Nope, that's good. So where's the ball coming from? So where do you want to jump? Yeah, to cut off the ball which way? Not this way. Drive. Yeah, now, go to the hip by way. Now your hips go this way. It's like opening a door. So from your toes, as soon as you push off your toes, we open the door. We're flying in the air, and then we're closing the door while we're flying in the air to the direction we want to hit. Okay? So let's get that hip loaded off those toes now.
That's
Way
why
back, toes, and then go. Then you can throw. Okay? And so what's everything that you should be feeling where? All of your hips are not going, not your shoulder at all. Okay? Yep, and I don't even worry about swinging right now. Just feel your hips. Drive your feet, feel your hips. Drive your feet, feel your hips. Drive. Okay? Drive. Okay? Good. So now you're going to start in between those two cards right there. We're going to take a two-step approach. Okay? So which foot is forward? Left foot's forward. Right foot's back. Okay? So we're going to ultimate, drive on the outside, step through, load your hip, and we're just going to rotate and chop. Okay? Ready? Ball, up, swing. Okay? Now, how do we know when you have a good momentum line? Where you jump, no matter where the ball goes, where you jump, where you land is going to be progressive which direction. This way. Forward, across the carts, essentially. So what happens is we're here. So whenever you're jumping, our hips are like even with the carts. We're here. Okay? And then when I load my hip, what happens? My chin stays even in the middle of the carts, but where does my hips go? My hips are going to open to this cart, but I don't do it before I jump. I do it off my toes. Yep, so I'm going to load off my toes. So then, where does this arm go? This arm is always over my shoulder. So I'm going to lift over my shoulder because my hips go back. My arm goes back, yeah. And then, because my hip goes forward, what happens to my arm? It goes forward, and if I want to use a whip, then what happens? My elbow stays high, and my hands start behind me, and then I have this top motion. Wherever I want to go, I'm doing that going up, so I can manipulate the spin with my hand. Does that make sense? Okay. There we go. So start just in the middle of those. Ready? Left foot forward. Right foot, put that right foot way back there. It's okay. You're going to lean back on your heel. You're going to put your right foot here. Drive your left toe and your hip here. Okay? Ready? Up, swing. Yeah, there you go. So now, the momentum of your approach help you on that. Yeah, for sure. And then how much more power do you get if your momentum of your approach gives you that? And then when your hip goes with it, what happens? Even more. And then when your arm and elbow goes with it, what happens? Even more. And then when your hand breaks through the ball, what happens? Even more. So you have four energies that collaborate in order to give you way more power. So, should it be put on this little shoulder, or would you rather your hip, your approach line, your hip, your elbow, and your wrist go through the ball instead? What's going to give you way more structure and more power? Yeah, collaborating four energies, right? That's all we're looking for right now. So we're going to simplify it instead of complicate it, right? We don't want to work hard with this because, think about this, if you use your arm, right? Remember, there's only one high point of your arm. It's right here. Anytime you go away from your high point, what happens? You're going to reach low, down, right? Which isn't going to help you in a success. If you use your hip, your arm can do what? Stay high into the direction you want to go, so you never have to drop your level. Does that make sense? So this whole thing comes down to what? Load your hips, be as athletic as you can into the load of your hips, and then use your hips to control your chop. That's it. And you create way more space, way more power, way more spin, because it complements the shape of the ball. Yeah? You ready? Drive, swing. So what foot has to get there? Third step, and it has to get there with your weight up. Think of it like your weight up. Does that make sense? Yeah. So, and it won't matter where I set the ball. If you get your third step there, it'll all feel the same. When you're going in your straight line approach before, a little variation of my set, where the ball too low, too fast, totally messed you up. Now you're taking everything into you, so no set will matter. The only thing I can do to mess you up, way too tight, way too far out, or way too low. Those are the only three scenarios I can mess you up. Everything else will feel great. Okay? Ready? So left foot forward, right foot way back, right foot way back. Yeah. Now huge. Go. Good. Good. Now I want you to speed up that step like twice as fast. We're gonna get way more power out of this. Okay? Ready? Up, lead up, swing. You're good. You're good. Yep. What are you recognizing? Our third step is so what? No, just meaning it's so deliberate. What controls the timing? Third step. What controls your positioning? Third step. Yeah. What does your fourth step do? It just closes to your third, same place every time, and then helps you load your hip. So if you're going to be amazing at hitting, which step has to be gnarly? Third step. It just does all the work, okay? So on this step here, you're just going to see the ball, and you're going to attack and position on the ball, and your weight is up, okay? Ready? Go get it. Swing. Yeah. Beautiful. Because what I want to see is balls are crossing at the mid-pin of the net. We don't want the ball crossing low because it goes get blocked. If it's crossing at the mid-pin, even if there's a good block, it's going to go up off the hands. If it gets blocked, it's going to come back high. Or if you hit hard enough, it's probably going to do what? Hands and out of bounds. Yeah, which is like the best way to score a point. Okay? Ready? So wait. Yep. There you go. Okay, here you go. Chest up, weight up, attack, swing. Okay. Now, we have what we call frame. Okay? Your frame is your body. Okay? So anything out of frame is going to be what? A little bit lower and a lot weaker. Okay, less control. Because remember, if it's weaker, there's less control. If it's stronger, there's more control. Exactly. So anything that's out of frame is going to be not as good of a swing. So how do you stay in to get your high point? Well, just with your arm. Your arm has to maintain over your, yeah. So every time we do anything, right, this arm has to be with our shoulder, and the only way to make this work together is we have to have it with our hip. And if it's not with our hip, then what do we end up using? Our shoulder, and our shoulder's going to feel more comfortable swinging where? In or out of frame. Our shoulder feels more comfortable out of frame. The issue with that is it's lower and weaker. So that's a problem, right? So we just trust everything with our arm, lifting over our shoulder with our hip. It's like unstoppable because you always are rotating into high points. Does that make sense? Okay. Ready? Drive. Swing. Good. That's awesome. That's great stuff. Okay, ready? Drive. Chest up. Weight up. Okay. So now, did you feel weight forward on 3 or did you feel weight back on your heel? It was forward. And because it was forward, did you feel like you could get it higher or did you have to wait for the ball to drop? You gotta wait for the ball to drop. Yeah. If your weight goes back on 3 and you can jump up and load your hip, where are you gonna see everything? Yeah, so when your head is up, what are you gonna notice? Your head is up here, where's in front of you? Up. Right? So go ahead and put your head back on this X. Put your hand straight up here. That's in front of you. Now if you put your head flat, that's still in front of you. But what's the problem with this one? Makes you swing down. What's the thing about this one? It forces you to swing where? So when we're jumping into the ball, what angle should our head be at? Yeah. When we're hitting the ball, what angle should our head be at? Good. Okay, ready? Wait. Up. And then people will be like, whoa, we can't see the block. Put your head up. Straight up in the air. Okay? If I do this, where are you going to swing? If I do this, where are you going to swing? So you're actually looking at the ball, but what are you using? Your peripheral vision. Yeah, and it acts like a what? Circle. So I'm looking at you, but I can still see your, and I'm looking at you, but I can still see the light. So in order for me to go into high points, where do I want to look? I want to look up, and I want to let my lower periphery see what? Because I guarantee if I'm looking up and I let my lower periphery see the block, what's going to happen? I'm going to swing high. Does that make sense? So that's not good. We just get caught looking where? Straight. And the idea of like, what lets me see the block. If you can see the block and the ball right now, you're looking at the block and the ball, where are you going to swing? Into the block. Yeah. So people say, look at the block to avoid the block makes no sense. Where do you want to look? In the highest space possible, and if the block gets into your space, then you can just hit off of it in an angle that goes up, which their hands can't control. I don't care how strong someone's hands are. If you're hitting at 40 miles an hour against my fingers, who's going to win? You're going to win 100% of the time. My fingers are not strong enough. If you hit down into my forearms or my hands, that angle complements each other. Right? Remember, angles complement each other. They strengthen each other if they're at the same angle. But if your angle goes against my angle, if there's 2 different angles, the stronger angle wins. Who's going to have a stronger angle? Yeah, because you're going to have more power going up than I can sustain it on my hands. So you always want to go against the grain of the block, not with the grain of the block, right? Here we go. Swing. Where was that? In or out of frame? Way out of frame. Switch man. Up. So as you're stepping through, up and back. And then we can throw that on. Yep, we want to create separation. Separation from left throw, I have more room to do this. So like, if I help you with this, let's get your arm back. Okay? Now throw your hip. That's how that feels. Look up. Boom, that. And then from here, we chop. That. So watch, now you're gonna take that same chop, and then you're gonna look up to the line. Go. No. Look up. Start up, and then you're gonna turn your chin left to the line. Go. So it's easy to turn line. All it is we're jumping angle, and then we just have to turn off. Right? We want to hit angle, we slow down. We want to hit corner, we look up. We want to hit seam, we slightly look seam. Is it a big turn or is it minute? Yeah, it's minute on the ball. It goes from like 1 to 2 inches on the ball. Because remember, the GPS of the court is where? That's angle, that's line. Your chin just has to move from here to here, looking up in order to go from one angle to the other. So I want you to try this now. You're going to jump angle, and then you're going to let your chin go up. You can't drop, and it can't go around. Your chin literally goes up to the line, and you're going to let your body rotate. Does that make sense? Okay, you ready? Up. Beautiful. That's good. So like the rotation of this is way easier. What did your blocker see? Yeah, so it doesn't block. So what's it open up? Yeah, so you create all your own luck. That's the beautiful part about it, right? Here you go. Okay, yep, drive through, get where you want. I just want you to feel this. Okay, ready? Weight up. In frame, go. Okay, 4 steps now. So let's work really hard. 1 and 2 is control. 3 is all in. 4 is even faster, okay? Ready? 1, 2, weight back, go. See how much slow down? In comparison to 2-step. You slowed down. Why? Okay. Yeah. No. And that's the answer. If you don't know, so what does that mean? There may not be a good reason why you did. And so what does this mean now? We're in an understanding operating system thing. And what do we want to see? Make your 3rd and 4th step go faster. Your 3rd step position-wise, like weight back on your heel, toe outside the ball. Your 4th step has to be close enough so your heels, so your toes can touch and load at the same time. Does that make sense? So now, if there's no good reason why you can't go faster, what does that mean? Go faster. Yeah, there's nothing to stop you. 1, 2, go. Get the ball. Yep. So is the ball gonna find you or do you have to get to it? Or what step gets to it? 3rd step. 1, 2, attack. Swing. Get this right out again. I asked the question, are you going to the ball or are you just letting the ball take you? Yep, you go get it. So ready? 1, 2, attack it. Go. Grab it. Say again. 100%. Because are you going to the ball or are you going to a spot on the net? You're going to a spot on the net, hoping that the ball correlates. When in reality, great hitters, especially because remember, it's a 1st or 2nd step tempo, so who owns the responsibility of getting to the ball? You. And so that's positioning your 3rd step relative to the ball, right? And then attack to really moving your hips, rotate, and your momentum causes a collision every time. Does that make sense? So this is just you getting used to the idea of getting the ball, because as it stands before, you were always just going to a spot and hoping the ball would be there. And so if it wasn't there, you probably end up doing what? Tipping a lot, right? So this, you can get there and just rotate and hit the ball hard. So I 1 and 2, go ahead. So 1, 2, now attack. Yeah. And so who's in control then? Yeah, you don't, like literally, you don't care where they set you as long as it's not too tight, not too low, not too far out. If they can just throw the ball up in a general tempo somewhere in this big old space, what happens? You can do whatever you want. And every set will feel exactly the same to you because your pattern of getting to the ball is exactly the same. The ball can be set here or set here. and the way you swing doesn't change even remotely. Does that make sense? So that's what you're trying to do, is become really efficient at getting your feet to the ball the same way, so that no matter where you are, it all feels the same. Okay? Okay? Now, swing, back, okay. So now, let's get to the interesting part of this. From the time you jump to the time you have to hit the ball, how much time do you think you have from jump to getting to your highest point of contact? Yeah, quantify it for me in your head. How much time? Okay, so the exact science is about that much time, 0.2 seconds, right? So it's jump contact, that's all it is. Jump contact. So what does that mean on the jump? So as soon as we jump, we have to be loaded, and as soon as we're off the ground, we have to pull to contact. So what does that mean? We have to go way, way faster. So, but in order to have this, off our toes where we have to be. Loaded, and then we swing. Does that make sense? So off the toes, it's less than 1/10 of a second to get loaded, and then the rest of our time is just swinging. Does that make sense? Okay? So this will force you to be more aggressive. Swing. Because anytime you wait, what's the ball going to do? And it's dropping, who's going to be more relevant? Blockers, yeah. So it's like the longer you wait, you just make blockers more important. And so we want to make them less important. What do you do? Swing early. Yeah, swing early. Swing. Good. Good. Back. You guys ready? 1, 2, attack, swing. Good. Swing. Just so your feet weren't as dynamic getting to the ball that time. Kind of just went. I want you to, every time you go to the ball, think of it like it's a full sprint on your third step, and it's a full jump on your fourth step. It's all the energy you can muster on those last 2 steps to get to the ball with power, okay, with speed. Ready? Tap, tap, tap. I mean, all you did was what? You sped up. What happened naturally when you sped up? That was, I don't know if you can tell, but that was noticeably harder. Like, not just a little bit. That wasn't like, oh yeah, it was a little bit harder. That was like noticeably like, holy crap, that was awesome, okay? So, and all you did was what? Yeah, you sped up. You decided to be more attacking, more aggressive with your last 2 steps. So what would happen if you did that every time? That swing you just took would be your what? That'd be your average swing. And then what would we have to work on? Going even faster to make that swing look slow compared to what we want to get. But that right now is your outlier because you went a little faster. I want that to be your normal. You guys, what did you just prove? You can make that swing. So it's not out of your range right now. It's in your range. It just has to be within now your consciousness of doing it every time. Does that make sense? So let's go get it. Faster. Swing. Yeah. I like that. I like that. Ready? Go get it. Nope. And you missed it. What step was way small? Third step, you went baby step, and then you went long step, so now your jumping pattern was up or out? Down. And so that's why your fingertip. If you're down here trying to look up, by the time you swung you like this, you don't have anything. Whereas if your third step is big in your back, all of your energy can go up into that space and really high with a lot of power, right? So just keep your weight back and make that third step really long. Okay? Ready? 1, 2, attack it. Now swing. Yes. Good. Okay. Now, what part of your body can help you go even faster once you're in the air? So, yeah, how do you get your hips? Because once your hips are loaded, right, in this position here, right? How do you get to go faster? It's actually your left elbow. Watch. So, if you're in this position here, so go and put your right arm down. Boom. Pull your hip. So, if you want to swing line, pull your hip up to the line. You want to swing angle, pull your hip up to the angle. Yeah. So, which arm can really help you? Yeah, so you don't see the ball between your arms, you see the ball you see the ball above your chin, over your left arm. You're here, so that way when you pull, you're pulling the ball into your chin to the angle you want to swing at. And then all that's going to do is speed you up. So now we have another method of getting your hips to go even faster to the ball, which makes your chop go even faster to the ball, which makes your wrist get through the ball even faster, right? And so, but we have to do this in a technique where the ball's not in between. The the ball's over. Does that make sense? So that means your approach has to be this way, swing the ball over your arm this way. Okay? Ready? So 1, 2, look back, over, down. And catch that just a little bit higher. So we go. 3. Ready? 1, 2, attack. Swing. Yes. Good. That's great. And if we miss the ball a little bit out, but it's high, is that a problem? No, we love that swing. If where don't we want to miss swings? And the taper there. That's it. Right? Everything else that goes high, that's just a function of what? If it goes out a little bit. Spin. You just have to spin the ball a little bit more. 2 rotations probably makes the ball go in. Is that an easy thing to fix? Yeah, for sure. What's the hard thing to fix? Swing it high, right? If you stay high and it's just spin, that's easy. Okay? Ready? 1, 2, attack, swing. Ready? 1, 2, hit, swing. Okay. Leave those there, and then you take this guy. Strike loose. Yeah, no, you wouldn't get some of the results you're getting if you're not. So now here's what we like to deliver practice. What do you have now? Because the only way to build your own pathway is what first need up? Need up first. What am I looking at? Your ability to try to implement it and third, you have self-awareness. You have no pressure, right? When you have that, you don't know how. Yeah. So the big thing is to do is and be aware if it's happening. Because if you're aware that it's happening, you can keep doing it. Or if you're not making it happen, you can make it happen. That makes sense. That's the hardest part about getting better, is that there's someone has to be we want to get good. That's why a lot of kids can go through like seasons and times and never get better. They're not they're trying, but they don't know what they're actually doing. So you have to be able to like open up your mapping of your body and understand like, okay, am I doing the thing? That's why we slow it down first. Have you say, okay, what does it feel like? It feels like this. And if it feels like that, then yeah, then you know what it feels like. And you have to make that feeling at full speed. Make sense? What starts happening with this is you start getting comfortable with your feet not crossing. You actually love the feeling of your feet complementing each other, pushing And then when you push, what's the associated feeling? Pushing is your stretching of your hip. And then once your hip stretches, then you can pull and then you can chop. And like the whole thing just turns into this like beautiful orchestra, right? And it's such a cool feeling when all of it collaborates, because then what happens to your body? You're gonna feel hard or easy. It's like all these things happening, but they're all working together, and it's like, oh my gosh, it just makes it easier. Because again, lots of things working for the same purpose just makes efficiency, okay? Push. That, repeat. So good. We went from this to this, and you're doing this in an hour, which is remarkable actually. So kudos to you for like being in control of it. It's awesome. Drive. In or out of frame. So okay, so what's the rule out of frame then? Yeah, so what would like if okay, so in rhythm you want to be aggressive. Out of rhythm, you can't be aggressive because that's when you make all of your airs. So when you're out of frame, you can be in or out of rhythm probably. Out of rhythm. So the rule is you can't make a bad swing out of rhythm. So what's the tool out of rhythm? Roller tip. Exactly. Yep. You got it. So when you feel yourself out of rhythm or you feel yourself out of frame, you have already decided where their weakness are, where you have to tip. Usually campfire is a great option. You get the back row setter, behind the setter, something like that, right? Worst thing you can do is roll shot to middle back, worst thing, tip hard to middle back in the barrel, because then it puts them in system. So the rule is if you're going to tip to space, not people. You always tip to space and not people. Because it forces them, because what's the chance if you tip to good space? That people could miss. What's that chance if you tip the people? They're probably going to dig it. You know what I mean? Drive. Swing. Okay, here's what we're going to do. You're doing a good job. So I'm going to put a ball out. This is going to be your first swing. So we call this shot number 1, shot number 2, shot number 3, shot number 4 is not. Okay? And all it is the sequence of where your hip is. So this is shot number 1 because we're just going to get to first. Yeah, when you start closing your hips, your first, second, third, fourth. That's why we call them the shots. So on the right side, what will be shot number 1? Line, C, corner, sharp angle. Goes out. So because your first hip position is line, second hip position, third hip position, fourth. So this is first hip position, okay? Now, you're not allowed to go away from it. You just have to swing into it, okay? There's a spot on the ball that goes right there. You rotate and chop without moving your hand, okay? There we go. And this is how you know that we're in a good alignment, because this first shot becomes natural. So that's like just normally what happens, okay? Ready? Find the spot, drive your hip, swing. Drive your hip. Drive your hip. What we realize is even if the block is like closed, can you still hit that shot with space? Pull or short. That's why we don't go in, out. That's why we just stay kind of outline. Hip. Where was your momentum? You just tell. So it actually, yeah, so remember, so your hip will always tell you where your momentum is up. And you put a short corner, but by the time you rotate your hip a little bit, where the ball is. So where do we have to be? We got to be this way, so by the time we rotate our hip, right in there. Does that make sense? Ready? So hip, swing. So this is an adjustment of your feet. Exactly. Yep. Chin on the spot, chin on the spot. That's good. That's good. This is what because what we did is we taught technique. And now what are we doing? We're taking now technique into strategy. And so what makes it hard? The jump of technique from technique to strategy. Because once we get technique and we got our body doing stuff, we can hit balls. But now once we say, okay, now we have to take this technique and apply it to this strategy, it makes it way harder because now you have to be way more mindful of everything you're doing. So it's awesome. So and it's not necessarily like, dude, I'm sucking now. It's all it is. We're saying you have to take what we just learned and apply it to a really freaking hard shot, which is actually will become an easy shot. It'll become your first shot, and your whole basis is just how has anyone ever expected you to hit that ball consistently? Yeah, and I'm going to because it's where your first hit position should be. And then once you get that, we work there, we work there, we work there, and then all 4 shots become easy. Yeah, they all become hard. But does it happen by chance or is it very deliberate and takes time? Yeah, we have to hit enough balls where that feels comfortable to you to where we have to then we can move on, right? Try it. Flip, drive, flip. So what your right foot is just missing because it's kind of on the center of the ball. Your right foot's got to go outside of the ball. Yeah. Then drive through, and then your hip is going to be right. Your left hip should be like that. And what I mean by that is your left hip is on this spot on the ball, then it goes there. Okay? Ready? Drive your foot, go. So at contact, it's taking care of that much. Spin. Ready? Drive, spin. Drive, spin. Great. Great. Spin. Foot, drive, spin. Better. So what do you realize most of the time then by when you're hitting? Do you have a